Imagine being able to control your entire home from the press of a button. Today, we're going to get to the details on what Control4 can actually do outside of audio and video. We're getting to the details of programming, and this is a project that you're going to want to come back and see. Today's video is educational. Let's start the video. All right, so with these keypads we have laid out throughout the house, and I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough and you can kind of visualize what they're supposed to do. This was supposed to have a bank of switches. We put a keypad here and a dimmer to control anything coming up the stairs, anything going into the living room, and also any all on or all off scenes that need to be activating while you're coming up or going down. As you're walking into the master bedroom, you may want to set up good morning scenes to where as soon as you wake up, you hit this and certain things happen. These lights turn on, your favorite music turns on, all this music down the stairs turns on. Simple one button. You can have a good night to where when you press this, all of the lights turn off, all of the music turns off, your doors lock, your garage closes, and it sets your alarm. As you can see, these are green, so we're still in the programming stages. I brought you in early on this one because I want you to see the entire process, not only when we complete our projects, but how they get to YouTube. Keep in mind that we do have a link in the description. Click it. We'd love to work with you. All right, so before we get to the cool stuff inside, I'm actually going to take some time today and show you how we design these lighting systems, how we program them, what we're thinking, not only that, but the potential of each button. All of the switches have been installed. We have dimmer keypads, and then we have dimmers in the rack for all of the wireless selection that we did. And from here, we're about to program. A couple of things that I want to point out is first, we have to think with where this switch is placed and what type of things we want this switch to do. The specific switch that we are controlling, it's actually finishing the foyer and coming into the most common living room in the house where there is multiple loads, audio and video. So the first thing that we did is we drew out the 6 buttons that we're going to do and what they're supposed to do. We have 4 buttons that are going to control individual loads. We have a lighting scene, and then from there we have a room off with 2 different options. One to turn off all the lights, the other one to turn off the lights and the audio video to get you ready to go upstairs. Let's get to programming. All right, so the first thing that we've done here is we actually selected and assembled our keypad. How many buttons are we going to have? We have the option to do single slots, 2 slots, 3 slots, or even a rocker. In this specific scenario, we're doing 6 single slots keypads, engravings, that are going to be for the living right, the chandelier, the living left. The bottom 2 is where we get to get creative. One of them is going to be a lighting scene that is going to toggle between 2, and then the next one is going to be a room off. This is how you label the rooms. You basically select the room that you want to change. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to type what we want it to be. I can't even type today. Let's go with lighting scene just for right now. Please pass forward this so I don't look bad. And then, bam, oh, we can't engrave it, so let's go with this. This. Boom. The next one is going to be room off. Boom. All right. Now that we have our keypads assembled and named, it's time to link them to a specific load or programming. I'm going to take care of the linking and then I'll show you the programming. Now that I've connected the individual buttons to a load in the closet, it's time to start programming. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a scene. In this scenario, we are going to start with the room off scene because it's one of the easiest ones to set up. Now we have all of our loads and we get to select what we want them to do. In this scenario, I'm gonna program them to hit room off and turn every single light off downstairs. Now, what we don't want is for someone to press it and everything shuts off. So in this scenario, we're gonna set up some custom programming so they can start dimming in separate zones and dim at a slow level to give them enough time to go upstairs, and then everything shuts down. Let me get to programming. We'll be right back. All right, so we're done with the custom program, at least for one of the buttons. The first thing that it's going to do is going to power off from the kitchen all the way down into the foyer and time it with enough time to where they go 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Everything takes roughly about 5 seconds to turn off, and by that point, we're upstairs in bed. We'll test that out in a second. Secondary, it's time to add audio and video to this button. We're gonna keep the lighting and video the same way, but then we're gonna power all of the TVs, all of the music, and actually lock the door to make sure that we can go to bed. All right, so let's test it. Before I do that, let me actually tell you how we got to this point. We came in right around electrical. Everything was designed to have about 6 switches here, 4 switches over there, a couple over here, and we wanted to clean up the wall acne. So what we did is we relocated a lot of these loads straight into the closet, left one main load here to still have local control, and then we pre-programmed them to control each other from one button. Let me show y'all what we did in there. This is where not only our wireless switches have been installed and relocated, but this is where we're setting up the brains of the operation. We are currently in here. Brian, as you can see, is terminating lines, tracing lines, getting things ready for installation. But this over here is all lighting. Brian, I'm sorry to get in your way, so I can show the viewers some of this. Now keep in mind, we still have to put plates and all of that on here, but these are essential forward phase dimmers from Control4. As you may notice, the keypads look a little bit different than these. When it comes to Control4, there is technically 2, and a little sneak peek, there is a 3rd line of keypads and switches coming out, but we currently have 2 models of switches in this household. The Essential and then the Gen 3 that are all of the keypads inside of the house. These are regular switches. You could press it and turn it on and off, but like I said, we wanted to clean up the wall, so we brought them in here to wirelessly control them. All right, programming is done. It's time to test it. This top button is meant to turn off the light above me. The second button, the ones in the middle, the far one, chandelier, and then the last ones are the ones in the back. Now keep in mind that when you walk into this room, you don't want to press all the individual buttons. So one of the things that we've done is we have a luminous scene, and when I press it, it's basically going to turn on every light behind me to 100%. I do have a toggle on that same light switch, and when I press it again, you notice that the light scenes change a little bit. We turn some of them off and actually dim down some of them. Let's turn everything up all the way, and let's actually test that room off button that we programmed together. When I come into this room and I hit this last button, watch what's gonna happen. So not only did we add all of the lighting into the room, but we actually integrated a room off feature. When I come into this button and I click it twice, it's not only going to turn off all the lighting as we showed you previously, but it's actually also going to turn off the television behind me. Today, we talked about lighting more than anything, and I just gave you some samples. Keep in mind that, as you can see, we're in the installation and early stages, but you do want to tune in. We have a full video coming up once we complete this project, and we can demo anything and everything. Come back and see us, and like always, don't forget to look, listen, and live with Empire AV.